Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
This is it's a very good slate to play one lineup. That's my
It's a very difficult slate.
so hard.
We'll get into it. I do want to say I'm a little tilted about myself for my late swapping yesterday.
I saw a little of that in Discord. I sort of followed it. I know that you like Nitu and Bamba
I had Mitsu and Bamba who were combined 3% owned, 1% for Bamba.
and Luca, right? I mean,
and Luca, and then Derek Jones Jr., who I had 30% of, who was at 30 something or whatever. With those four players, basically anybody else you put around them, obviously you're going to go deep in everything.
Yeah.
But I took that out of my big one, and I also started making some other switches because they were doing so well.
Oh, she wanted
on.
Okay.
So I had a bunch of Brunson, so I was like, okay, I don't even necessarily need to play Maxey, but I can also play him with Maxey. You know what I mean?
Right.
And Brunson had 56 in the first one, so he was off to a great start. And then everybody I had basically was doing really well. So I kind of overcorrected. But I was also tilted on the NFL. I mean, that one, I was in second place in the millionaire thing, and when they were up 33-12 in the fourth with 6 minutes to go, and they threw what would have been his fifth pick, and I also had the defense and everything else, and it would put me into first place, and the two guys crashed into each other. The next play is a touchdown for McCaffrey.
Oh, shit.
Who may not have been back in the game even if they intercept it.
That's right.
That was a very tilting, and it was a great day. And I also it knocked me down 100,000. I was winning like every single entry also. But I did finish second in a couple of the single entries. I finished third in a couple of the other ones.
Nice.
I ended up making money, but it was just one of those days that could have been. You know what I mean? Right. It really felt like a Christmas miracle was coming, and didn't quite get there. But we're on to tonight anyway, and everybody's going to ask the same question, and I think that you're probably going to ask me that question. Right, about Nembhard?
Well, I mean, I was going to say a little differently. I mean, there are these 5 to 6K plays where under a normal, if there was value, we wouldn't even give a second thought. I shouldn't say that. I mean, they'd be like okay plays. Mm-hmm. And if we don't get anything, let's say, and I personally, I don't know how this is possible. I think all the people were expecting to be questioned, but I think they all play actually. That's going to be like that. That's my take, and the math doesn't support that really because usually somebody gets ruled out.
Yeah,
but just from the tea leaves, or the one guy I would think about is that might not play. You'll get that soon enough, I guess. Is the Vooch thing? The thing with Vooch is he hasn't missed a game in like 2 years.
Yeah,
but then there was I was listening to the Roto Grinders, and one of the guys said that you want to read into this They actually called another big up from the G League today, which is usually a sign that they need him.
Yes. So even if he plays, we can still play Drummond, possibly.
Maybe.
Because, I mean, Drummond is first of all, we're desperate for value. Why wouldn't we at least consider him anyway?
Well, because I know what I was, my Galaxy brain play I'm going to get to in a minute. But yeah, I mean, sort of was the question about Nembhard, but it was more of the point of like, you have Nembhard, Sohan, who else? Vassal, these guys in like the mid range, and Eason 5,600, Bogdanovich, going to be 25% owned just because of the price, just because he slides in there because you need him. Because once you get like under 5K, there's literally nothing, right now.
Right.
And then you'll get ownership on Patrick Williams. You'll get ownership on Alex Caruso. These are guys that are, under normal circumstances, whatever. And Nembhard specifically, I mean, he's going to be probably the highest owned of them all. Typically, you'd like to wait, right, if possible, because there's also news coming from the late games that's possible. You get the DeAndre Ayton is questionable, and if he's out, then you get that.
Well, one of the biggest pieces is actually one of the weirdest ones is Brandon Miller being questionable, because if he's out, Cody Martin would be the best point per dollar play on the slate as of right now.
Right. So my idea was like right now, like I'm considering playing like Ayton, Simons, and like Miller, like from that late game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just to have it. Like they're all good plays anyway. You know what I mean? And if something happens, then I can kind of screw around.
You could make a swap in that exact case to like either to one of Sabonis or Fox and over to, not that he's going to be like a smash play, but Cody Martin is 3,500 and legitimately could get the 28 minutes if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you something else. By the way, I would love to be able to play Sabonis on the slate, but it's right now I can't.
Right. I feel that way about both Sabonis and Fox a little bit.
Okay.
I think actually, look, I know it's a tough matchup, and this would have been the perfect time where if there was value to just say, you know what, this is a tough matchup. Jalen Williams is questionable. If he somehow sits, Shea then becomes like an incredible play in a very tough matchup. But again, these are the guys we can't get to. So I'm sort of focusing on the ones we can as of right now.
I'll tell you one other. If you want, this is the Galaxy Brain Play or whatever it is.
I've got one too, so I'm so curious if it's the same one.
Well, go for it.
No, I wanted to hear you say it first. Mine is Mathurin.
Oh, okay. Me is an old name. So if I get the news I want and Ayton is out, I'm going to be playing Moses Brown. That's what I'm going to be doing that game.
Interesting, but even though that Reith is like, if they had raised Reith's price up a little bit more, I get it. But like, it's not like they raised his price that much.
But Reith is going to start,
right?
And he's going to be huge chalk.
But not if that information's not till later, because there's not going to be that many people who leave that many spots for that game.
Maybe, but I you know what, I prefer Moses Brown. Well, right. You know what it would be like if we'll see what my lineup looks like. We'll see how I'm doing. You know, if I nail all the everything early, which is probably not happening, you know, whatever it is, then maybe I'll and I get the news I want. Maybe I'll go with Diarp or whatever if he's starting. But I don't know. I see variations where I kind of screw around with that game. And not to mention the fact that what's his name from the Clippers is, I thought he was, he's not questionable anymore. Oh, Kawhi is questionable.
He's questionable. I don't know if that's a real questionable. It's an island game for them, and they were rotating back and forth, and he's played every other game. They finally just decided to start rotating in an easy matchup. I think that my prediction is that he plays. I know he missed 2 in a row, so he missed the Boston game, so that's a little bit more concerning, but even if he doesn't play, I do like Harden and Kawhi a lot, but it's not like they become absolute like locks. I don't know. It's probably pretty close to it though, because then you sort of pretend, you tell yourself a story, the game will stay close. Vegas has it at 12, which makes you feel more like Kawhi would play, I guess. But yeah, maybe Harden and Rozier are a thing you could do.
I tried to make Rozier work earlier today. So a couple of other guys I want to talk about is let's talk about Nembhard for a second. So Nembhard, I mean, he did play. I haven't gotten any official starters, by the way. Okay,
right.
But presuming that he starts because he started last time, I mean, I'll just call it what it is. I mean, he played 36 minutes, and he made every shot he took, and he only scored 25 fantasy points.
Right.
I figured I would just mention that.
Right. Wouldn't we rather? And also like Mathurin also like, I mean, that game, I understand it's a close spread, but there is definitely a path where Houston just wipes the floor with them. That happens sometimes with Indiana, and also it happens with Houston at home. But even if they don't, I like the Mathurin pivot, because if you want to get a real ceiling out of a 5K guy, like
I agree,
just play the Mathurin. So I've got them split up, but I've got more Mathurin than I do.
I think that's a great idea, actually. I think
that's the most logical one, and the other one would be Nesmith.
You know, I thought of that.
They probably would want for defense,
but I think that I think that Mathurin's just a little more active with
100%. I like that Mathurin much better.
I don't like the fact that Mathurin's played 16 minutes and 19 minutes in the last 2 games, of course. But
it doesn't. See, that's the thing, though, is that like, isn't it worth it to embrace a little bit of that for the upside versus the Nembhard, where we've watched him play 40 minutes and score like 10 fantasy points before.
I mean, I see games here where Mathurin, I mean, not all of them, but I see games that you have to have him. You know what I mean? Like, I see a couple of 50s, you know what I mean? Like on the board here, you know? And maybe everybody was out that game, I don't know. But I don't really see that many games where Nembhard like gets 50.
Right. Unless Halliburton's out or something, you know.
Unless Halliburton is out.
Right.
As far as let's go back, I guess, to the early games. I really consider playing stuff in the early games. You know, I thought of like copping out and just doing Orlando stack. You know what I mean? I thought of that. I do happen to like Suggs at 5,600.
Mm-hmm.
I like Banchero and I like Franz, but I think I like Suggs the best. And in the other game, I it's so funny. Like I did my earlier video, and every time I ran a build, they were like forcing me to have 90% Claxton. I'm like, what is going on here? And I'm not getting him that much anymore. But I was just wondering what that was all about. And I could
Detroit gives up horrible like numbers to bigs, but that's because Jalen Duren has been out and
he's not playing. Oh, there it is.
So that's a big thing.
Yeah, but listen, I thought like Michael Bridges is fair enough. I mean, it's fair enough play. And on Detroit, I think Cade is kind of fair enough. But again, those are 2 7:00 games. And I just don't know if I like anybody that much of those 2 games to play them before something might happen before 8.
Yeah, if Killian Hayes is out, because he's the only one who's still questionable, not probable, okay, I will absolutely load up Jaden Ivey.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm completely in on Jaden Ivey, and his projection will start to reflect a little bit of it. But he's been playing like mid-30s minutes against Brooklyn. He just put up – what did he put up the other night? He had a big game against them, I think, the other night. So that – but even he'll still probably start, even if Hayes is there. Yeah, but I mean, look at Ivey without Hayes. Like he's put up 49 and 45 the last 2 games. You know what I mean? So if Hayes is somehow out, and by the way, even if he's not, maybe you just gamble and bet that they're going to start playing their better guys. Their younger guys, and that's worth it for Ivey because Ivey's usage rate is only a little bit below Cunningham's, and you're getting 2,000 cheaper, which you need to have today. Obviously, I'd rather play Cunningham, but you don't have that choice. I sort of hear you on the first games. I've got 2 big lineups tonight. And I am using Franz in one and Paolo in the other. And they're totally fun to play together. But I just think the thing that worries me about that game, I'm worried the Magic might just beat the hell out of them. And it might just be ugly. But in order for that to happen, probably one of those guys gets there. The thing that scares me is in neither of my big lineups do I have Anthony, who I think with Suggs back is like an incredible tournament play. Because if Suggs was announced out, Anthony would have been really, really popular. And now you're going to get like no ownership on Anthony. And it's literally like you couldn't have a better matchup. It's fast paced. You got the blowout risk possible. He gets the extra run with the second unit that nobody comes back into the fourth. But I like the idea of getting one of those Magic, and I think you include Suggs just like you
said. Just came out 1 minute ago. For whatever this worth, Jalen Suggs will have his minutes monitored Tuesday.
Monitored, not
per Coach Mosley, whatever that means.
Yeah, it's really hard to know what to do with both he and Carter because I think they're very similar plays. Carter, the difference is Carter is not like he's coming off an injury, but they're slowly bringing him back, and they played really well without him. Yeah. But at some point, one of these days, he's going to put up like a 45, and we're going to feel like we should have had him. Maybe today's the day. It's a great matchup for it, but I didn't get to as much Carter. But I do think Carter, for what it's worth, is probably I don't know. It's hard to say. Both he and Suggs have plenty of upside. It depends on the minutes.
What do you think of Hield?
Yeah. Again, later stuff. So I'm sort of just going to let things happen. I mean, if we hear Trey is out, for example, things are going to change. But yeah, he's one of them. I don't have him in either of my big buy-ins right now. It's a really bad matchup. I think people just forget sometimes that Houston's a really bad matchup because they're a really good defense. It's the best. It's like the war of whatever, the movable object and whatever that's
right. But there's a total force and an immovable object.
Exactly, yeah. But I feel like it's just a spot where you really just want to target Houston and like make sure you're playing probably like one of Van Vliet, Şengün, Tari Eason, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks. If I was scripting tonight, I would make sure I had at least one Houston player in my lineup. That would be my rule. I just think it's too good of a matchup, and even if it's the bench guys, that means it's Tari Eason, so I'm good with that. I would just play the top 6 of them. I probably have one of them in every lineup, just about. Even though when I hand built, I didn't necessarily get to that quite as much as I thought. Actually, well, in my big buy-ins, I have Şengün in one and Van Vliet and Eason in the other.
So would you worry about playing any of those guys together, or?
I don't want to play Şengün with Eason too much in my big buy-in because they literally cut into each other. In fact, I'm very nervous about playing Şengün with Eason playing because it really does. They'll go small and use he and Jabari to combine and guard the 5. And it really does. Like we've seen Şengün just get benched, and those are the games where he got benched because they have another option that can do that stuff for them. So it does worry me for Şengün, but also I really like Tari Eason in this matchup. I think Tari Eason and Van Vliet are totally fine together. Van Vliet's been horrible, lately. I think that there's also an argument you could make for Jalen Green. It's, again, if we're going to ever play these guys, play them in this matchup. You know what I mean? You just can't get a better situation where, Jalen Green might not have scored 30 fantasy points in 3 weeks, but he could put up like 50 or 40 real life points against this team. It's just possible that whoever's hot, because as I've mentioned with Indiana and with Washington before, like they just sort of let you do whatever you want offensively. So it could really be anybody, but I like that Şengün is number 1, Van Vliet's number 2, but I don't think he's that far ahead of Jalen Green.
What do you think of these Bulls guys like Caruso and Patrick Williams?
So of course I'm playing them because they don't start at the 7 p.m. lock time and they're in the 5Ks. So yes, as of right now, I have a ton of Patrick Williams. I also am always huge on the play as much as you want against Atlanta, and you can't really ever be a bad play. Caruso is interesting because like versus Nembhard, at least we know, like it wouldn't surprise anybody if Nembhard just played like 16 minutes tonight. But that's never going to happen with Caruso unless he gets hurt, which does happen a lot, actually.
Right.
But I think it's fine. Again, you're just sort of waiting. That's my opinion. And I think that like
Vooch is out.
Well, there it is. So you're going to have 100% owned. DeRozan will be 90+% owned.
Well, as well, Drummond will be 100%.
That's what I meant to say. Sorry, I said DeRozan. I meant Drummond. And now, so Drummond. So I think you minimize. You have to play at least 2 Bulls. I think Drummond is the natural first one, but I think that you should be playing these other guys too, and that probably trickles all the way down to Dalen Terry, which I want to say, but
yeah.
And I'm going to be out of here probably in like 10 minutes because I want to finish the millionaire builds, but that's going to be the big piece. That's the big piece of news we were waiting for, which makes it less urgent that you need to wait for as much in the second part of the day, but it's still obviously always a little better to wait.
Got a couple of other random guys to mention to you. Zion Williamson, 7,700.
Yeah, I like him. Unfortunately, he's probably going to be more on the outside looking in now, but he was a guy I liked.
Can you get up to the high price guys now?
There's only one high price guy, really. I mean, there's Halliburton, in a tough matchup.
There's Shea, there's Trae Young. I mean, Trae Young scores 60 a game.
Shea and Trae Young are the only two I think are really. Well, I guess no, that's not true. I have some Ja Morant. A terrible matchup, but I'll always take shots with Ja. Actually, really like Bane in that game for what it's worth. Yeah, so that's interesting. So now we're going to play Drummond, and I'm probably going to just lock him in my big buy-ins, just to be honest.
You may as well, right? I mean,
if he doesn't start, I might take a shot on somebody else. I still think he's just as good a play, and he's still even if he doesn't start, he's going to be like 70% owned. It's not going to matter.
Right.
So, I mean, they really don't have another big solution. I guess Dalen Terry is probably the guy who ends up getting the run at 3,400. He's already going to have some ownership. He definitely could now. DDR. And then Williams, Caruso. So yeah, that's my different groups. I mean, look, you don't have to do it this way. This is just the way I've got it separated. I've got Drummond on his own, at least one of White or DeMar DeRozan as a priority. I think Williams and Caruso just are more solidified, but I would throw our old friend Ayo Dosunmu back into the mix.
That's interesting.
Just to get, he's 4,600, just to get a little different.
So you think Patrick Williams gets some more rebounds?
Yeah, I think it's hard because Drummond's a better rebounder actually. But how many minutes do we really think they're going to let Drummond go out there, or are they just going to play small with Dalen Terry some of the time? My guess is they do that because they haven't. I mean, we had Vooch play every game, but there's been blowouts even way. They just don't let Drummond play more than like 20 minutes.
Play them together, maybe Terry and Drummond.
Yeah, Terry, Drummond. So then I have Terry and Carter and Dosunmu in sort of their own tier, but I think Terry's actually going to be the right answer.
Dude, I have such an incredible low-owned lineup that has no business in this 2,500 that I just might do.
Go for it.
Well, I need one bit of news coming first.
Drummond can be all. By the way, he can be all gassed out as much as he wants after. If he plays 20 minutes, like he always gets there. It's
No, the one it's got because the thing is it has Ivy in it, so I have to.
you need the Killian.
I want Hayes out.
Yeah. I'm actually still rolling with some Ivy. He was
but I'll have that before lock. You know.
Yeah.
If I don't get that, I like the rest of the lineup. Oh boy, this is so insane. If I actually pull this off, this is going to be one of those where I'm like, it's going to be like your other thing from yesterday. Like, why didn't you just play the easy chalk with this lineup or something?
Right. Or so in some cases, part of my problem was that I kept forcing Maxey into I had my Harris, Oubre, and Melton builds. The only way Maxey didn't get there in my eyes, and Maxey, of course, missed every shot. What was he, 2 of 19 or something?
Right.
But I played. I had those 3, and that was like a perfect fitting for that group, and it would have worked out perfectly. Ugh. Yeah, I think Terry. But the problem with Terry, he can't be the Mo Bamba from last night because Mo Bamba was owned at 1%, and exactly what you think might happen is what happened. Is that real? No, it's not right. It's all the goals. Yeah, but I think Terry's gonna be extremely popular for what it's worth.
You think so?
He was already projected to be 15% owned. So, they had him at 12 on SaberSim at 12 fantasy points, and he was 15% owned. I can only imagine because they don't really have like another big, and you're gonna have a Kongwu or Capella for all the minutes because that's just what they do.
What do you think of Dylan Brooks tonight as one of the Houston guys?
Less interested in but again, I used him as a placeholder for some lineups. It's a great matchup, so I can't really ever say it's bad, but I probably am not going to get there. I think I'd probably rather just play the usage Bulls thing, and it's just going to spread around so much to these guys. I don't know.
And there's the spot for Jabari Smith Jr. right there.
What happened?
Oh, nothing in my lineup.
Oh, I was thinking you were talking about Jabari Walker. Sorry, I was like,
no, it might have to end up with him too.
He's the super sneaky one, or he's the sneaky one if Ayton's out actually, because he won't start.
You have no problem playing Jabari Smith and Eason, right?
Jabari Smith and Eason. It's not ideal.
That's not ideal.
I mean, they definitely literally will cut into each other's playing time, but
okay.
There's a path where they play small with both of them, and that means I wouldn't play them with Şengün, but I think that's right. Fine. They've both gotten there in games this year. It's just been sort of fluky how they did it. It's not like it's sort of like your split running backs argument all the time. Yes, it's possible. No, it's not.
Keldon Johnson. Just trying to find a good.
Oh, Trey is officially in. I didn't see that.
Okay.
So is Jalen Johnson. So that makes
that makes Bogdan a little worse, right?
Yeah, it makes Atlanta run backs not so fun. Too bad, because that would have too bad, and also we know that's what everyone would have done is just stack that game.
Right.
Still haven't upgraded Drummond's projection. My guess is it's going to be what do you think, like 35 maybe, 40?
I would say like 32 or something.
Well, 35 is pretty close to 30. There's something that far off.
Well, you said 35 or 40. I don't know.
I mean, it's possible that it is 40. Who was the one we had the other day that was Jaden Hardy, even though he didn't get there. He his was like 40 at 4K or whatever. Any thoughts on Zubac?
I had so many lives with Zubac before the Drummond news came out.
Yeah, I actually think that Zubac makes some sense. I have no issue with it if you want to play Zubac and Drummond.
Oh no, this is what I can do. Instead of Eason, I could play Patrick Williams.
I mean, they're both really good plays. I don't know which I even prefer yet. I guess Williams, but it feels weird to say that out loud because Eason's such a great fantasy point per minute player, and Williams is not necessarily. God, can we get an update on? Somehow they seem to have affected DeRozan and Kobe White's update, but they didn't do anything to DeRozan's. I mean Drummond. I keep saying that.
Wait, who is? I have a question for you. Who is Adamas Sanogo?
Sonogo, I honestly.
He's the 3K center from Chicago Bulls.
Oh, I don't even think that's a. He's the guy I guess they would have brought up. Because I don't know who that is.
Maybe he's the one they brought.
He's never played in the NBA as far as I can see.
It doesn't look that way. Yeah, he's the guy they brought up.
Yeah.
They brought him up to play in 12 minutes or no?
I think it's worth taking a shot at what you're getting at. I mean, it's going to be a pivot off of what's going to be a really popular Dalen Terry, I think. Projections might be as confused as we are here.
Is Sabonis? Oh, he's just center eligible.
What is happening? So if we.
What are we getting a good projection on Terry or no?
I haven't gotten any projection yet.
Okay.
It's been really bad during. I hate to say that, but it's been really bad during this Christmas time. I understand it's Christmas and all that stuff, but it's been tough.
Yeah, I'm getting now 12 points for Jalen Terry, and it hasn't updated, I guess.
Yeah, and that's a good point by Campbell. They probably would go Terry Taylor. By the way, Terry Taylor is. How about this for a guy who this season has 8 fantasy points? He won me 100,000 one night.
Who are you talking about?
Terry Taylor, who's the other guy they've got for the.
Oh.
And he's got forward eligibility. Not that it matters as much today, but that matters a little. Yeah, I think he's right. Terry Taylor would probably get run. You'd think over the G League. But the thing is, the G League guy is more in playing shape than Terry Taylor is. That's the weird part because they've been playing all the time.
You know, it would be nice if they told us what was going on with the Pistons as well. That would be helpful. Well, I'd really like to play Sabonis tonight.
So what I would say, Jolly, if you're nervous to play Drummond, then you have no business playing, assuming Drummond starts, of course. Even still, actually. You have no business playing Nembhard then if you're nervous to play Drummond. That's what I would say. If you're nervous to play Drummond, you absolutely can't play Nembhard and not play Drummond, in my opinion. I just don't understand because they're so similar in price. What is the path for Nembhard to outscore? It's got to happen it's got to be 20-1. Not 20-1, maybe 15-1. But if you fade both of them, you're going to be different than a huge portion of the field. I'll tell you that. All right, I probably am going to go and try and do a little bit of digging. I'll update in the premium if I have any other thoughts on the slate. Not sure. I've got something in my family in the morning tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. I'm going to try to get out of it before recording, but that's where I'm at. Sheets, anything else before I get out of here? Or do you want me to leave this on?
No, we're good. I'm just waiting on this Jaden Ivey thing.
Oh yeah, and the Killian Hayes.
So I am going to play him if.
Wembanyama officially in, by the way, which for what's
okay.
What we expected. A little worried about his minutes, by the way. All right. So should I leave it on or shut it down?
No, you can shut it down.
All right. Good luck, everybody. Good luck, Sheets. Have a good night. Hopefully, me and Sheets will talk tomorrow about how we battled it out for $1 million.